So who was with you this weekend?
A bunch of my friends.
Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber,
So far,
French
so good.
Montana.
Do you even know half the people you're naming?
No.
She didn't go to bed. I haven't been to bed yet.
You haven't? I want to be Clay when I grow up, Court.
I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Go to this party. I think half the people there were butt naked. You would have loved it.
Celebrities have been the focus of attention lately due to rumors that they are connected to some of P. Diddy's controversial parties.
You wrote a story about Diddy's party within a party. Like, everybody knows about his famous white parties that would attract people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Paris Hilton, Mariah Carey, a whole crowd of well-known people. Howard Stern would be there. But what maybe they didn't know about, and maybe you don't know about, is that there would be a party within the party. As the night wore on, these sort of A-list names would go home. I mean, it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Okay, the party's over, let's leave. Well, for some people, the party was only just beginning. There would be like back bedrooms where Diddy and his, let's say, more debauchery-oriented friends would have a different kind of party. I spoke with a gentleman who was a drug dealer who would deliver drugs to Diddy at the legit white party and at the other party. And he recalled a story in which he went to make a drug delivery, knocked on the door, Diddy answered in his robe, brought him back there, and the guy, did what he did with the drugs. They did the drug transaction. And he said the shocking thing to him wasn't that there were drugs or that there were, naked ladies or naked men or, all kinds of powders laying around. What was shocking to him was what he saw rappers doing. He goes, I saw rappers doing things I never expected to see, and it totally changed the way I look at them. I guess he's saying there was male-on-male sex among rappers, which not everybody knew about. Diddy was not involved in that. I mean, he was still in his robe, doing the transaction, and they did what they did. The dealer looked around, and he was taking it all in, and Diddy said to him, hey, do you want to stick around and party? As the dealer told me, he said, nah, I'm good, and he left. He said it just wasn't.
Celebrities like Jay-Z and Leonardo DiCaprio, Hilton Helicopter, Ashton Paris, Russell Howard Stern, Call Me Mariah, K.Y. Russell, Jennifer Lopez Usher, and Megan Fox have made appearances.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 55.
There have been no formal announcements, but many circulating rumors about their involvement exist.
The alleged crimes of Sean Diddy Combs are what's trending in true crime this morning. Welcome back. I'm Julie Grant. Many people are noticing the celebrity associates who are not speaking out. Let's talk about them. For instance, Usher, who was managed by Diddy. Remember that? When he was 13 and later worked with him as an adult. Usher recently wiped his profile from Twitter, X. He was mentioned in one of the sex assault lawsuits at someone who had sexual interactions with Combs. Howard Stern once asked Usher about Diddy's wild parties. Here's what he said.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
And we've got another Diddy associate who's noticeably quiet this morning, Justin Bieber. The singer becoming acquainted with Diddy around the age of 15 years old. And many are speculating that Bieber could be a victim, but Bieber himself has not commented. Our question this morning, which celebrities will break the deafening silence? We got an awesome power panel standing by. Let's bring them in now. Law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter, entertainment commentator Holland Reed, and corrections officer and the former president of the New York City Correction Officers Union, Elias Hussamadeen. Good morning to you all. Holland Reed, I want to start with you, please. The entertainment industry is abuzz. Tell us what you're hearing this morning.
What I'm hearing this morning is that we've gone from just shaking in the boots to sheer panic. As you said in your opening statements, Julie, the silence is deafening, especially from longtime associates of Diddy, such as J-Lo, who dated him for a very long time in the early 2000s, Usher, who was one of his proteges, along with Justin Bieber. These are people that had firsthand accounts and experiences with this man, and they are quiet. And the reason being is they don't know what part of their experiences are on those tapes that the FBI has and what they got during those raids. They don't know if it was criminal or just a part of whatever, their adult consent, pleasure, whatever you want to call it. But what they're worried about now is their own brand, their own empires, their own careers. And if they had any part of planning or any part of knowing about the minors or the sex workers there, they're going to be in big trouble as well.
Oh, you're so right, Holland. You're so right. Sonny Slaughter, let's talk about that. When we think about famous celebrities who are shaking in their boots this morning, I would imagine these investigators are going to want to talk to a lot of people, that a lot of interviews may still need to be done. Would you speak to that, please, Sonny, the investigation aspect of this and what more needs to be done to gather?
More rumors started to spread when people learned that Usher and Pink had deleted posts from their social media accounts, leading to an even more extensive list.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Got to keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
Some have even mentioned Justin Bieber, suggesting that P. Diddy's current project may have affected him.
All the information about what Diddy allegedly did.
Good morning, Julie and my esteemed colleagues. So what I can tell you is that there has already been a lot of conversation with some of the celebrities that have been identified as victims, and another term that I use is victim perpetrators. So although some of these individuals may have been victims, they may have also been perpetrators that participated in the forced fraud and coercion of others. So those investigations, those conversations have already started, and everyone, as I have stated before, needs to obtain legal counsel. HSI, which we call Homeland Security Investigation, is the lead agency on this. They are the best at what they do. They are also working in concert with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Postal Service, the Department of Corrections, local, state, and other agencies to determine exactly where the intersection of criminal activity and the investigations need to take place. So this is an ongoing multi-jurisdictional agency investigation, and people who have attended these parties who may have seen something and didn't say something, everybody needs to get an attorney because everyone will get questions. One of the things, last thing that I'll say, one of the things that Diddy did, which has helped in this investigation, is that in the attempt and allegedly for forced fraud and coercion, he created his own narrative with the tapes, the videos, and everything that law enforcement can review. So this is a tracking and trending operation where they already have enough evidence, which is why the first indictment has come down, and you can expect that there will be more.
Great information, Sonny. Thank you for all of that. One person who is speaking out, rapper Shine. Remember him, Diddy's artist? Back when that nightclub shooting happened in New York, we all heard about it. Diddy was there, Jennifer Lopez was there, and we know that Shine was the...
Again, though, there has yet to be any solid proof for this, so everything remains speculative.
These are the Diddy pictures Hollywood doesn't want you to see. Every A-list celebrity from Leonardo DiCaprio to Mariah Carey can be seen partying with the disgraced rapper at his various get-togethers dating back to 1998. Here's a shot from one of Diddy's white parties with Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton in the background. And here he is with Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore at another party in 2009. Russell Brand, Chris Brown, Lil Kim, Nicole Richie and Tommy Lee are just a few of the other big-name guests, while another picture from Diddy's East Hampton house shows two women pouring champagne down another woman's throat in the pool. It comes after Diddy was arrested on racketeering and sex trafficking charges, with authorities claiming he threw massive sex parties that were often recorded. Diddy has pled not guilty and faces a minimum of 15 years behind bars if convicted.
P. Diddy, whose actual name is Shah Kum, is facing several serious charges in court. He allegedly recorded these encounters and coerced them into inappropriate situations, according to the authorities.
Allegations of sexual abuse and trafficking against rapper Sean Diddy Combs are making headlines, with attention now focused on his infamous white parties. Several victims, including adult entertainer Adria Sherry English, claims the rapper forced them into explicit activities during these lavish events in the early 2000s. English, who filed a lawsuit, said she was hired as a dancer for the parties held in the Hamptons, a posh New York neighborhood. She in fact alleges the glamorous exterior of these celebrity-filled events hid a disturbing reality where women were coerced into sexual acts. English claims Diddy used his power to pressure her, warning that if she did not comply, he would sabotage her music career. According to her, drinks were spiked with drugs, leaving her unable to recall how she in fact left the parties. English went on to say that the parties were more explicit, and the in fact more explicit parts of the party started late at night after most of the guests left the venue. The secretive activities allegedly took place in rooms guarded by security to prevent anyone from knowing what exactly is happening behind the doors closed. Celebrities like Paris Hilton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kim Kardashian and Chris Brown were among those photographed at the white parties, which ran from the years of 1990s to the 2000s. Jennifer Lopez and her management team is said to be on a high alert in case she gets dragged into any of the ongoing criminal investigations against Sean Diddy Combs, who was once, remember, her long-time boyfriend. Insiders have now claimed that the vocalist's team had discussions about whether she should make some public clarifications for being arrested with the rapper back on December 27th of 1999. And as the singer was dating Sean Diddy Combs during those days, she was taken into custody because a gun was found inside his car that they used to escape from the shooting scene. While Jennifer Lopez was let out shortly after, with cops clearing her of any involvement in the criminal activity, her romance partner and his bodyguard Anthony Wolf-Jones were charged with this crime. Recently, DiCaprio also distanced himself from Diddy after a photo of him at a 1998 party resurfaced online. According to an insider, in fact, DiCaprio has not spoken to Diddy in years and has nothing to do with the current accusations. Diddy, who was arrested last week only on charges of racketeering and sex trafficking, is facing some big allegations of orchestrating freak-offs, which is elaborate sex performances involving women who were allegedly drugged. Raids on his property reportedly uncovered thousands of bottles of baby oil, and prosecutors claim the women involved required IV drips after the intense sessions. While DiCaprio was once on Diddy's VIP list, the actor's representatives.
Even if these accusations are grave, many people are skeptical of the police's claim that they raided his home and discovered cocaine and baby oil. PDY has pleaded not guilty and is still adamant about his innocence.
The Sean Diddy Combs investigation. New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week. Our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Kotursky, is at the scene of his arrest. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, Robin. This is the hotel where Sean Combs was arrested a week ago. You can now see how that arrest went down. This morning, watch how federal agents took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs. His lawyer said Combs had come to New York 2 weeks earlier with the intention of turning himself in. He did not expect the agents to be waiting at his hotel last Monday night.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in. 1, 2, 3.
A day earlier, Combs seen out and about in New York with his family, seemingly in good spirits. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. At the center of the case, this 2016 video obtained by CNN that depicts Combs attacking his then-girlfriend, the singer Cassie, and then dragging her back toward a hotel room. Federal prosecutors said the video is powerful evidence of how dangerous the hip-hop mogul could be to women, part of why 2 different federal judges denied him bail.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
Combs, who lived in this $50 million Miami mansion, is now in an isolated unit of a federal jail in Brooklyn known for miserable conditions.
The special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
When Combs first arrived at jail, he was monitored for suicide. That's common for any high-profile inmate. But his attorney says Combs is not suicidal. Rather, guys, he's focused on defending himself. Guys?
All right, we'll see what happens going forward. Aaron, thank you.
P. Diddy's former housemate, Usher, has also been linked to this problem.
Investigation, and people who have attended these parties who may have seen something and didn't say something. Everybody needs to get an attorney because everyone will get questions. One of the things, last thing that I'll say, one of the things that Diddy did, which has helped in this investigation, is that in the attempt and allegedly for forced fraud and coercion, he created his own narrative with the tapes, the videos, and everything that law enforcement can review. So this is a tracking and trending operation where they already have enough evidence, which is why the first indictment has come down, and you can expect that there will be more.
Great information, Sunny. Thank you for all of that. One person who is speaking out, rapper Shine. Remember him, Diddy's artist? Back when that nightclub shooting happened in New York, we all heard about it. Diddy was there, Jennifer Lopez was there, and we know that Shine was the one left holding the bag. And even though there was a witness who said it was not Shine who shot me, Shine wound up being convicted, being deported. Let's take a listen to some of what he has said about Diddy.
Let us not lose sight of what the cold hard facts are. This was not someone who I vacationed with and who he and I enjoyed this great intimate relationship of brotherhood. This is someone who destroyed my life.
Okay, Elias Hussamadeen, last but certainly not least, I want to go to you, please, and tap into your experience. Everybody's wondering, is Diddy going to sing like a canary now that he is locked up and not living his lavish?
There were rumors that Usher was hiding something when several posts disappeared from his account.
A lot of multiple nominees, multiple Grammy nominees this year. Lauryn Hill's got 4, TLC's got 8, and Sean Combs 5 to 10. And he can really sing. Oops!
Rosie O'Donnell's joke about Diddy nearly 25 years ago hitting a little different in 2024.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me.
Yeah, the viral resurfaced moments just keep coming in the wake of Diddy's racketeering and sex trafficking indictments.
It's ridiculous. It seems like there's something new every day. You know, as I said before, I'm innocent.
That's the rapper and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez at the 2000 Grammy Awards. Diddy reacting at the time to his arrest stemming from his infamous nightclub shooting.
Want to hear my joke I have? Ready? This is good. See if you like it.
Before Diddy was cleared of those charges, the comedian quipped about his legal troubles with TLC on her 90s talk show.
A lot of multiple nominees, multiple Grammy nominees this year. Lauryn Hill's got 4, TLC's got 8, and Sean Combs 5 to 10. Get it? Like he's going to jail?
Right. All right. As for Diddy's ex, J-Lo, fans also dug up her 2015 appearance on The Wendy Williams Show. Her mom, Guadalupe, reacting to a rekindled romance.
I could always see you getting back with Puffy in a little way.
I mean, he's a nice guy and he can really sing. Oops!
Usher quickly asserted, though, that his account had been compromised and the posts had disappeared.
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Is the night. And look, I was saying earlier, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years since Lean Back came out. You know, it's been almost, I guess, 23, 24 years since What's Love, you know, came out, you and Ashanti. So, like, Remy's going to be there. Is Ashanti going to be there?
There's a possibility.
Okay, so
far you guys are on a roll.
Well, this is what I want to know, though, because I'm trying to think.
I gotta go gambling with you guys.
You got to put the Terror Squad back together. And I know you lost, Big Pun and your boy Raul. You've lost some members, but you got to put back together. I don't know if it's for one night only or for a tour. For all us old people who need one more night to go out and see you guys.
Well, you're gonna see us all on stage on the 2nd. You know what I mean? Tone Sunshine, Remy Ma. I'm trying to get.
So there will be a reunion. That night.
We a tight family. We one of the most loyal, tightest families in hip hop. So we together. Like we all the way with this, you know.
So are the tickets still available for?
I think so, but I mean, I think it's mostly sold out. And even if you could get an upper deck seat, I'm telling you, forget about the money. This don't even have nothing to do with the price of a ticket. This is somewhere you need to be. If you love hip hop music, you're a New Yorker. You want to dance in the aisles, we're going to tell Apollo, yo, don't be so strict. Let them dance. Let them have fun because it's going to be an amazing night.
So, Joe, meanwhile, you got a lot of stuff.
Why fight the time when you can rewind the time?
Yeah, what's going on? What'd you bring us?
I mean, this is men's grooming. You take care. You and your sister always. Why us guys? When your wife says she wants you to go great, she's fixing you up. She don't want you out there looking your very best. So we say, why fight the time when you can rewind the time? Why look 53 when you can look 40? Why look 43 when you can look 30? And so this is ammonia free, so this doesn't break nobody out. This is very healthy.
So talk about it. I mean, like this is specifically for beards.
But beards and hair.
Right. So I mean, you're not just going and doing hair dye and trying to put on your. No. This brings you back. I'm saying other people, like normally you have to go to the store, you get hair dye and try and put it on your beard. This is made specifically to go on your beard.
Yeah. Oh no, this is Italian. This is Italian hair color, brother. This is the best thing. We call this the Rolls Royce of hair grooming, and it's available at Sally's and Amazon.com. But mostly it gives you that glow back. You know, you feel. I got a friend. His hair was all the way white. He never dyed it. Never thought of it. So I used him like a guinea pig. I said, "Yo, sit down." Man, that man walked out that place 10 minutes later. He called me like, "I'll never be white again." Oh my God, the compliments I'm getting. This is amazing. Like, you know, that's what this is about.
I love it. You know who may need this?
Who?
Diddy. His hair may go white.
Yeah.
I know that you guys are somewhat friendly.
No. I didn't say no. Yeah. I know Diddy 30 years. I'm just praying. It's a very sad situation. I don't know enough about it. That's as far as I could go. I stood up last night, maybe 4 hours praying for him and his kids. His kids, I know them all their life. So, I'm just praying for everybody.
Have you had a chance to talk to him at all since this has been?
Nah, very sad occasion, no.
What about
I know what you guys know.
Yeah. What about our girl Wendy Williams? Because I know you were tight with Wendy.
She used to always tell me, you always go to Rosanna's show, this, that. Rosanna, she got Fat Joe in her back pocket, And so she would always tell me, you always go to Rosanna, but I'm praying for her too. I know what you know. I was in contact with her, and then
everybody got cut off.
Yeah,
we got cut off, right?
Yeah.
We got to wait for her to call you back, but there's no way to check up unless I guess we go through Wanda. Maybe.
It's sad in life to see something like that happen to somebody who's so intelligent, powerful. She had her own production company. Like, that's the last thing you would think that can happen to somebody like that. And so I'm praying for her as well and her family.
It's the reality of life, sadly, which is why you got to try and enjoy every moment you can.
That's what we do.
April 2nd at the Apollo
Theater.
There you go.
Standing room only.
And who knows who's going to show up with Fat Joe? It says Fat Joe and friends. He knows a lot of friends.
Oh no, it's going to be legendary.
I can't wait.
It's going to be. I'm going for top 5 New York history.
We may have to hit you up for tickets here.
I think so too.
We may have to be some of your friends.
Y'all be in the house.
All right, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Jim.
Man, you look good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
However, it didn't help that he had resurfaced from a previously released interview in which he admitted to seeing some bizarre stuff while with Diddy. As a result of this comment, people are now more interested in learning what might have occurred behind closed doors.
Tonight, the first public statement from music mogul Sean Diddy Combs following raids on 2 of his homes as part of a possible sex trafficking investigation. CBS's Carter Evans reports on what authorities may have been looking for.
There was nothing subtle when federal agents conducted high-profile raids at 2 large properties in Los Angeles and Miami, owned by music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Raids that tonight his attorney calls a gross overuse of military-level force. Why a simultaneous cross-country search?
Oh, I think they wanted this to be a bit of a surprise. It's a big raid, and what they were going in was to try to find all types of evidence.
There are 2 distinct images of Combs. The iconic performer and the one named in multiple lawsuits accusing him of everything from rape to sex trafficking. Last December, Combs posted a statement saying, "I did not do any of the awful things being alleged." The lawsuits so far have been in civil court. As for the latest searches,
if it involves sex trafficking or drugs or weapons or other illegal behavior, it can easily go from a civil investigation to what we see now, a criminal investigation.
TMZ published video, it says, was after the raids began. It showed Combs walking around Opa-locka Airport near Miami. A short time later, at the same airport, Miami-Dade police arrested Brendan Paul for drug possession. Paul was described in a previous lawsuit as Diddy's mule, someone used to get drugs and guns.
So what Sean Combs needs to do is follow his lawyer's advice, which undoubtedly is not to talk to people, not try to hinder the investigation, and not try to flee.
Now, Diddy's lawyer calls the law enforcement action an unprecedented ambush. He says his client is innocent, and he emphasized that Combs was never detained. In fact, he cooperated and even spoke with investigators. Nora?
Carter Evans, thank you very much.
Megan Fox also removed all of her Instagram and other platforms.
All you gotta do is tickle me, Rosanna. You look amazing.
You look amazing.
Come on now.
How much have you dropped?
Man, I was like 480 pounds at one time, like when Big Pun was alive. Yeah, so this was like years and years and years of understanding my body and what I can eat and what I can't.
So what are you doing differently?
You know, I just lay off the carbs. I eat defensively. I eat what I want to eat, but I eat defensively. So you know how you wake up every morning, hopefully everyone goes and brush their teeth first thing in the morning? Yeah, that's what we teach our kids. Right. So that's the first thing I do. I don't care if I'm like this. Well, every time I sit down and eat, I'm eating defensively. I'm like staying away from the bread, staying away from the rice, staying away from the pasta, staying away from, you know, I went to your restaurant that got a little fish with some broccoli.
I know, you can have
That's
that.
how I play the game.
I like that.
Look, maybe some burrata first, but I stay away. It's the carbs that really get you.
Yeah. Well, it's working for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Listen,
working.
thank you.
So, lean back. Congratulations.
Wow.
20 years. So, Apollo, April 2nd, big night for you.
You know, I started at the Apollo Theater. I won amateur night 4 weeks in a row. So the Apollo really is my home. Harlem and the Bronx with one. And so I'm calling it $1 billion worth of stars on one stage in one night.
Because there's going to be a lot of guests with you.
Too many. And so what's going on is I'm a native New Yorker, and I'm trying to put a top 5 moment in the history of New York City. I'm not talking about just hip hop. I'm talking about when Muhammad Ali fought at Madison Square Garden.
Against Joe Frazier,
this is something where you go and you're going to be like, oh my God,
Wait,
I cannot
who's
believe.
there? Let's talk about
we got Dipset, we got The Lox, we got Remy.
Mary J., your sister.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. But a lot of people. I told you it's going to be $1 billion worth of stars in one. Rumors. Big rumors.
But
big rumors.
Drake, wait, is Drake going to be there?
I thought you would say that. No, Drake is definitely not going to be there.
Okay, so he said no.
But you've been
but he didn't say
on a roll.
I was going to say he didn't say no to other people.
She was on a roll.
All right.
And it's just going to be one big party, one big celebration of life. You know, it's just going to be a party at the Apollo. You know what I mean? It's going to be an incredible night, and it means.
Though Megan hasn't addressed the matter formally yet, people will naturally assume she was involved and wonder why she remained silent on social media.
Law enforcement sources are telling ABC News that right now authorities are carrying out searches at properties associated with P. Diddy. This is all part of a federal investigation into human trafficking. They also say that this investigation has been ongoing now for several months. They add, our sources, that an arrest does not appear to be imminent at this time, but what you are looking at right now is live video of one of these searches being conducted. Now, this is a search that is happening at Sean Diddy Combs' Los Angeles home. This is in the Beverly Hills area, so you can see a tremendous amount of law enforcement present there all around that home. So this search just began here. There's also, as we understand, another search being conducted on the other side of the country in Miami, because we are hearing from Homeland Security that there are investigations going on using the assistance of HSI Los Angeles and HSI Miami, along with local law enforcement partners. We do understand that they will provide us with updates as possible, but this goes into multiple allegations against Sean Diddy Combs over the years. There's been several civil suits against him as well, including human trafficking, all of which he has denied as this has been ongoing. But again, clearly an escalation that we are seeing play out live right now in Los Angeles. I want to bring in our ABC News contributor and trial attorney, Brian Buckmeyer, who I know, Brian, you have been following this case for many months, and you bring it up to me all the time. And now I wouldn't call this the culmination. In fact, probably this is just the beginning, right? So what do you make of the fact that they've decided to carry out these two searches simultaneously and on other sides of the country here?
So, Kayla, you're right. I've been talking to us about this for too long. But what does it get you? What does a person need to have the ability to search a home? Probable cause. So what I'm doing is I'm looking backwards. How could a judge grant the ability to search these two homes, and why would you do it simultaneously? Probable cause being the belief, or at least having the quantity of information that a crime either did happen, is happening, or is going to happen. That's how law enforcement must have to prove to a judge or a court why they have the opportunity or the legal ability to search someone's home. Now, why would you do it in conjunction from one property and another at the same time? Law enforcement typically does this because they are worried that information or property or evidence may be hidden away or destroyed while you're searching one property. And so they're looking for something to corroborate the belief that they have that a crime did occur. And as you pointed out earlier, he's facing multiple allegations of sex trafficking. So perhaps that is the crime in which they're investigating. Perhaps that is what they're trying to seek more information from. But in order to search a home, you have to have probable cause. The only question is, probable cause of what?
Probable cause. And so, Brian, as you look at this and you watch this, and we'll shout if we see any more movement on these screens, but it is important to note, right, that this is all being run out of the Southern District of New York here. So there is a tremendous amount of coordination happening.
A further dimension of this controversy surfaced when a previously unreleased video of Khloe Kardashian discussing her traumatic experience at one of PID's parties surfaced.
Focusing on the fact that the Department of Justice alleged that he was already engaged in obstructing justice prior to the indictment being issued, I think that's a really, really key allegation that would allow them to make the arguments, which they did and which the judge ultimately agreed with, is that Mr. Combs cannot be out of prison because he will have the chance to not only run away, but he will also have the chance to influence the outcome of this trial by pressuring individuals to not come forward. And this is a devastating blow for his defense team, because it's so much more difficult as a defense attorney to work with your client and to build your case and to go over the information because you have limited access. You mentioned the detention center that he's in. It's not easy to go there on a daily basis and to do work and to build your case and to go through the details that you would need to go through. And it would be much more simple and straightforward if the defense team was able to meet with their client on a regular basis. Now it's monitored, now it's closely guarded, and access is much more difficult. So I believe that's why his defense attorneys fought so hard and offered everything under the sun in order to get him out, because it really impinges their ability to represent him to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, difficult to represent a client who is behind bars, so they have an uphill battle there. And of course, they are fighting an uphill battle in the court of public opinion, because there has been nonstop discussion, an onslaught of publicity and this conversation around the salacious allegations, as you mentioned, these freak offs, as they call them. We'll just use that term once. The parties that Diddy threw, and all the celebrity he's known over the course of his career, and the prosecutors are saying this sort of commenced in 2009. So it's been a really long time. A lot of people are involved in this. How, John George, does a defense attorney?
Rumors about what might have happened at Diddy's parties were further stoked by the fact that, as KHL recalled, half of the guests were hardly dressed, and everything was incredibly chaotic.
By volunteering information. Mr. Combs is in a very difficult position to defend civil lawsuits while there is an ongoing criminal case on top of that, because any statement he were to make in those civil cases could be used as statements against him in the criminal case. So it's a very interesting confluence of the civil cases and the criminal case that are ongoing. And I expect it's likely that more individuals may come forward. The Department of Justice has urged more individuals to come forward and to tell their side of the story. Something about sexual assault cases is that it can be very difficult for victims to come to terms with what occurred to them in the first place, let alone to come out publicly and face the person who has allegedly done things to them that victimized them. So it's a very difficult area for prosecutors to go through and get victims to willingly come forward. But the way these civil lawsuits are playing out, it appears that may be a strategy that they employ. Reach out to the attorney that's representing an individual victim and see if they'd be willing to come in and sit down and talk to them about the case.
Yeah, and as you said, defending both civil lawsuits and a criminal case is quite a challenge. In fact, as we know, Diddy settled the case with Cassie Ventura within 24 hours of her filing that complaint. So that he tried to keep that under wraps, tried not to have to make statements regarding it, except he did apologize for his behavior. And that was before then sort of a landslide of lawsuits, civil lawsuits against him then appeared. And to your point about getting women to come forward, getting witnesses to testify, getting people to maybe even turn state's evidence, so to speak, they have denied bail of any sort to Diddy. He offered to put up $50 million. He said that he would either sell or get rid of his jet. They would monitor him, drug tests, get rid of all electronics, all sorts of things to try to keep him out of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn as sort of a notorious facility, among others, in New York. The judge said, no, you are going to stay behind bars because of the potential for what they described as potential for witness tampering, obstruction of justice. What do you think about the judge's decision? How common is it for a potential, let's call him a non-violent offender, to be denied bail under these circumstances?
The Department of Justice, in filing their indictment, made an allegation that I think was very key to allowing the judge to come to this decision, which is that as part of running this alleged criminal enterprise, Mr. Combs was already involved in obstructing justice to not let this information get out ahead of time. So based on that allegation, the idea behind denying him bail, obviously, number one, is a flight risk. He has tons of resources, and we know that when his house was initially raided, I believe that Mr. Combs fled the country or took a flight elsewhere. So he's shown maybe a pattern or a proclivity to be able to do something like that. So he has access to funds. On top of it, he's facing very, very serious charges that could see him spending the rest of his life in prison. So he'd be incentivized to do something where he would flee or run away from it. And I think that the judge was on firm ground in making a decision in this case. Someone of Mr. Combs's profile, especially with the type of conduct that's being alleged here.
Bieber has kept a low profile for the time being, focusing on his personal life and his role as a father, at least not in public. He doesn't appear interested in engaging with the drama.
That's what you need to do. being held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where he has been denied bail twice. He has been placed on suicide watch, but his actual mental state is unclear.
It's crucial to remember that P. Diddy is the only official party involved in the case and hasn't been found guilty of anything.
There are many people who believe he could bring a lot of famous people down if he talks. What do you think may happen, Elias?
Quite frankly, there's no telling what's going to happen under these circumstances. Sometimes people break and sometimes they talk. One of the things that I was asked about was whether or not he should be placed, or whether or not he's placed under a suicide watch. And in those situations when we have people of his notoriety in jail, suicide watch is something that it would be negligent not to put him under, considering what's going on and everything that's been said since we've been on this broadcast, and considering that suicide is the #1 cause of death inside the jails and the prison. But there's a possibility that he, as well as others in the past, might break.
I see it potentially happening, because when I look at this indictment, I mean, this is nasty. This is filthy, dirty stuff being alleged. And I would imagine if there's any hope of a deal, Diddy would take it. I want to play a clip from someone who is famous in the industry, someone that knows Diddy. There's a long history there, and he's in lockup right now. The difference is he's a real hardened gangster. Suge Knight speaking out about Diddy and talking about the things he's done, potentially catching up. This is prior to the indictment as well. Let's play a clip of what Suge said on his podcast.
I tell you what, Puffy. Your life is in danger. Because you know the secrets. Who's involved in that little secret room you guys participating in. Oh yeah, by the way, do not do your time going by Brother Love. Brother Love is not a good code name for prison. I'm out.
Oh my gosh, it's like he's prophesizing there. Holland Reed, let me go back to you here. I know you heard this when he released it, and now the Diddy's indicted. Your thoughts, please.
Let me just say this. I've met Suge Knight one time, and that is the most menacing, scariest person I've ever met in my life, standing in his presence, and I never would like to do that again. He's also somebody that knows what it's like to intimidate witnesses and people. That's why these celebrities are keeping quiet, because they were scared for their life. Tim Porter was scared, Cassie was scared, but now here we are. And I think hopefully people will start talking, simply because he is in jail and he is locked up. But they are still scared. Puffy has goons. He did not do this alone. Suge Knight knows what he's talking about, and they better listen.
So well said, Holland. Thank you for that. Suge says Diddy's got the secrets. And so let's talk about something that is possibly one of those secrets. We've got online sleuths, of course, all over this. And this morning, they're taking a hard look at the death of Diddy's longtime former girlfriend, the mother of some of his children.
Even though several of these well-known individuals are continuously mentioned in discussions, the investigation is still underway, and none of them have received criminal charges.
But from music mogul to an inmate, Sean Diddy Combs is denied bail on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering.
TMZ has been following this case for months now, and Charles Latibaudier is joining us to dive deeper into what is happening. Charles, I mean, shocking is an understatement when you hear the details of this case. What are your thoughts after hearing the indictment yesterday?
Good morning, Brian and Natalie. I got to tell you, my thoughts reading the 14-page indictment yesterday were that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it, there's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And certainly if you were involved, you would get a call because they're going to want to know everything you want to know and may even want you to be a witness. I just think, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve. And the feds have said that this remains an open investigation. There could be more charges for Diddy. There could be more charges for other people involved. And usually the way this works is once they find out other people.
It's easy to get drawn into the rumors because they involve such well-known individuals, but as of right now, they are just rumors.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leanne Jackson, Senior Law Editor at Forbes, and today I am joined by John George Aras, founder of Aras Law Firm and our resident legal expert. And today he is here to help us analyze, of course, one of the most talked about cases of the last couple weeks, I think we can safely say, Sean Diddy Combs and the criminal indictment against him. Thank you so much for joining us, John George.
Thank you for having me.
So there is a lot to unpack here. This has been filed in the Southern District of New York, which has become known as the go-to location for any type of racketeering charges. And that is at the crux of this case. And so maybe to start, we can talk about how, of course, there's a lot of counts to this, and there's a number of counts to this indictment that involve sex trafficking, arson, prostitution. There's all sorts of allegations, but there's only certain criminal counts, and they're all part of a conspiracy that the U.S. attorneys are going to be trying to prove. Can you talk a little bit about what we are looking at here from a legal perspective?
Absolutely. I think a good way of looking at this case is not so much based on the individual acts alone, some of which you mentioned, arson, prostitution, sex trafficking, but a way to really conceptualize everything here is that Mr. Combs is being charged as part of an enterprise that he ran through his business. So the racketeering charge emanates from his conduct individually, and then other people that worked in his enterprise that helped him engage in this type of conduct, allegedly. For example, sex trafficking or bringing someone from one state to another for the purposes of prostitution. So it's a broad-ranging RICO racketeering charge, which focuses on the enterprise itself, along with the conduct of the individuals. But that's why this case is so far and wide-ranging. Typically, a RICO charge was brought previously against mafia conduct because what ended up having to happen before, or that only individuals could be charged for their individual conduct.
It's important to remember that none of the well-known figures on that list have been shown to have committed any crimes or to have any direct connection to the offenses Diddy is charged with.
They bring them in and they sort of lean on them, and it's sort of like, you're going to cooperate with us, or there's a possibility that you could face charges. So this is going to be a slow developing a case here because we're just getting started. And I don't see how this trial begins anytime before next year.
There are a lot of wild allegations in those documents that came out yesterday, including 1,000 bottles of baby oil. What surprised you the most about what you read yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that, Brian, was was definitely an alarming graph of the indictment when you read that when they raided, I believe it was the Miami home where they found 1,000 bottles of, and they said that these were items that were used at the freak-offs. There were also large amounts of drugs, they said, cocaine, ketamine, Molly, GHB, the rape drug. So, they said that the house, according to the feds, that was stocked for these parties that were going on. And then to read their description of how Diddy, as they say, lured women into joining these parties. And they say that he would meet them or lure them, get to know them, and lure them in thinking they would think that there was going to be a romantic relationship with him. And then it would turn out that they would be at these freak-offs where they would be forced to have, or drugged and forced to have sex with male prostitutes that he was bringing in. And that's one of the counts that he's facing also, is the transportation of individuals for a purpose of prostitution. So really alarming allegations laid out in court. Diddy, of course, has pled not guilty to all of it. And then the real kicker for him at the end of the day was that the judge said you will be held without bail. And that means however long it takes for this trial to begin, he will be in a federal detention facility in Brooklyn, and not a very nice one. In fact, a fairly notorious one. So you got to figure it. He wants out of there, and he wants out as soon as possible.
As with many high-profile cases, it's critical to discern what is fact from mere hearsay.
Use civil lawsuits as potentially a basis to start an investigation. Maybe there's a civil complaint that's filed in New York or in Los Angeles or wherever it may be involving a big profile person like Mr. Combs that alleges salacious allegations against him, and maybe that can start or spark an investigation. And I do believe to some extent that's likely what occurred here. The second component of it is that as these civil suits continue to roll out, these are individuals that may be potential victims for the Department of Justice to use as witnesses in their case against Mr. Combs. So they're able to mine this information. They're able to look at the court pleadings. They're able to look at the position that Mr. Combs will take in these litigations, because he's going to have to continue to respond to them as they come out. And as we all know, an individual that's under the threat of criminal prosecution has an absolute Fifth Amendment right to not testify against themselves. You do not have to incriminate.
In this situation, the investigation is still ongoing. Therefore, waiting to make any decisions is vital until further information is made public.
Enables both criminal and civil litigants to look at an entire enterprise. So a way to think about this is that Mr. Combs is at the top of essentially a criminal enterprise that was allegedly being run by him with the help of other people that were employed within that enterprise.
And interestingly, they don't have to say who else is involved, who the co-conspirators are. You don't get a lot of information usually in the indictments. The prosecution keeps it close to the vest. So here we don't know. Nobody else has been charged yet except for Diddy. These co-conspirators may never be charged, in fact, and they could potentially be working with the government. Is that also something that we can expect here, or are more charges likely?
It's very typical that in a case like this, especially of how broad-ranging it is, and the attorneys, the prosecution has come out and stated it themselves and said this investigation is ongoing. So they had enough substance to be able to get a grand jury to indict Mr. Combs, and now the investigation will continue. However, in this process of bringing these charges, they will now look to individuals. The prosecution will look to individuals that were potentially involved, and here's where they may get their key witnesses for the case. Someone that is allegedly involved may have criminal exposure, and what will happen is that they will be offered potentially a deal to testify in return for a lower sentence. That's typically a way this case is attacked by the prosecution, because they need evidence. So on the one hand, they're going to need victims to come forward and testify about their experience. We know that they have videotape and documentary evidence from the raid on Mr. Combs' home. And then the third component of that will be, are there people within this enterprise that are going to be willing to, for lack of a better term, flip on Mr. Combs and testify against him in trial in return for a better deal? The federal sentencing guidelines are very harsh for these types of alleged crimes. They could end up spending a lot of time in jail, or come to an agreement, get some limited prosecution, maybe even potentially immunity in some cases, to come forward and testify. Because as the press release made clear, and as all the press around this case has made clear, the target of this case is Mr. Combs.
Yeah, and we're talking about this today because yet another civil case has been filed against Mr. Combs by a woman, Talia Graves, with her attorney, well-known attorney Gloria Allred. It's just another civil complaint against Mr. Combs alleging assault and I believe rape in that case as well. You can talk a little bit more about that. But I'm curious about how the prosecution has used these allegations, whether it was from the original bombshell civil complaint by his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, that he settled civilly with her, and which you alluded to the videotape of her being assaulted in a hotel by Mr. Combs. But this newest complaint is just one of many that are since Ms. Ventura's complaint that have come out. And the prosecution is using these to build the criminal case, it appears. And also, we don't know exactly how many or which will be the victims that they would use to try to get in further charge Mr. Combs if needed, additional charges.
This is interesting from many different perspectives. First,
While rumors circulate swiftly on social media, you shouldn't believe everything you see or hear.